Hi everyone, this is Barb Pass coming at you again to paint. In the last video, if you happen to watch it, I painted this little Pinocchio, this little marionette that I purchased. I sat him back and looked at him really well to see what I thought of it after I finished. I like it pretty well. I think the drawing's pretty good, the values and the colors, so I'm not unhappy with it. What I would like is, I was thinking, I'm going to repaint it again, and I've changed its position. I'll show it to you. I would like it to be more painterly, and how you arrive at that, in my opinion, is several ways. I sat down and painted that, so my face was in the painting. I was pretty close. I'm going to stand up and paint this one so I can get back, step back, and that's one of the things I've changed. I did try to use pretty good sized brushes, but of course bigger brushes help you go looser. One of the things I did notice when I reviewed the video is, the reason for long handled brushes is, to get back on the brush to paint, which I'm going to really make an effort to do that this time. I noticed when I painted him, I frequently was up on the brush, painting like that. Oops, more like that. There you can see. So again, I'm standing. You can yell at me when you see me getting up on the brush, choking up on it. And not to say I won't have to for some things. I mean, when you're doing small detail, I might have to move up on the brush, but I'm going to try to stay back and keep him loose. Let me show you the position I've got him in this time. Let's move this guy. Again, I painted him the other night, not on camera, so this is my third time to paint him. Not sure what I'm going to do with all these Pinocchio paintings. I'll put them on my website at some point. I actually thought it would be cute to get a frame that maybe holds like 3 5x7s and paint him 3 times in 3 different positions. I thought that might be cute. So I've moved him tonight. As you can see, looks a little relaxed with his head hanging down. I am way up there standing, so I'm going to get you as high as I can get you, and we'll angle you up, which will probably distort your view some. But, we'll make sure you see it at the end. See, you're looking up on the canvas. That's about as high as I can get you, I think, with my tripod. I'm moving my legs closer. Let's see, that's a little better, isn't it? Okay, so here we go. Going to do some things different. First thing I'm going to do is tone the canvas. Mixed up an orange color. This is an 8x10 again, my favorite size apparently, because I paint a lot of them. I like it because it's, not too big. You can finish it fairly quickly. But an 8x10, in a nice frame still makes a nice presentation, in my opinion. These are water mixable oils. Dip in my brush in just a little bit of water so things will move around. I like them a lot. They're oils. I keep saying that. They work like oils. They dry like oils. I know I repeat myself a lot for the people that do follow me, but if you're new to my channel, I want to make you aware of the products, what I'm using for materials, and I don't always tone, but if you do as I've done, I'm going to try to let some of it peek through. Otherwise, why bother to do it, Okay, now I'm not completely ready here. Let me locate my view catcher. I was packed up for tomorrow. I go out and paint on Mondays, and husband's in there watching the Super Bowl, so it doesn't interest me a lot, so I'm in here painting. Thought I'd get out of his hair. Using my view catcher. I love this thing. Set it for an 8x10. and we're going vertical. So I'll look through this and try to set up get my drawing on here. We'll go with a brush that's a little bit smaller, and just doesn't matter what you use to sketch it on with color-wise, whatever you like. I'm just grabbing some ultramarine and grabbing some alizarin crimson. All right, now let's look through here and see what we got. How much I want to include. I've got that little thing, you know, that little cross thing above his head that you control him with. I don't control him with it. I wouldn't know anything about it. All right, so let's see. We're going to run his little feather off the top. I used a little thing by EZL the other night, and that wasn't bad. It has a little grit on it. I showed it to you. It's a little dry wipe thing. I've not used it much, but all right. Shut up here, and we'll try to get him on. I said, kind of got his head hanging down this time. Sitting on a bucket of gesso. He's got a big head. I can tell you it's heavy, and okay. Going to move him down a little bit. I don't do a real picky, precise sketch. That way I don't feel like I'm fighting it, you know. But I want to be somewhat accurate before we start. I can see both his eyes. I'm already feeling like I ought to move him down a little bit. I don't mind running things off the canvas. Some people don't ever want to do that, but I think it works well with a lot of things. All right, we'll just start from the top and we'll work our way down. Dipping into a little water, so this will move for me. Most artists you talk to seem like they want to be looser. That seems to be a common goal for us. I don't know. Of course, not everybody. That's not their goal at all. A lot of them are realist, but a lot of us would like to be looser. I find it interesting if you don't explain everything. A while back I painted pears on this channel, if you recall that or if you saw it. I had 2 pears and I moved them and I painted 3 different paintings of them, and I had a show yesterday. I sold that yesterday. I framed it in one frame that held 3 5x7 panels. Looked real nice. That's what I was thinking about with this guy. It would be nice to find another frame like that and move him in 3 different, like I said, 3 different positions. Thought that might be cute. But I had a pretty good show. It's at a church, and a lot of the people, you see a lot of the same people every year. The church congregation come to it. But I did, you know, a lot of the reason I do the shows is I do the pet commissions, and always looking to make contacts. I talked to a guy today from the show yesterday about painting his dog, so hopefully that will happen. Sometimes, you know, when you do like I do pet commissions, sometimes it's months before you really realize the full benefit of a show. People call you months later and tell you they met you at, you know, here or there. I find smaller things sell the best, though. I sell a lot of little bird paintings, 6x6, and I do 4x4s framed in custom frames, and that seems to be what sells the best. People just don't have room, or I don't know. I understand that, you know. I don't have room. If I bring something, if I buy, and I'll buy something if I love it. I buy other people's art and, you know, make room for it. The shadow down here. Like I say, sitting on a bucket, we'll have to decide how we want that to read. Kind of different. Maybe should have put him on a box so he was sitting on a all the way across on the same level, but all right, so that's probably enough information to get going. I'm going to try the brush that I toned with, the biggest one, and we'll just see, we'll try that one for a while and see how that goes. All right, so I typically start with my darkest darks, work to my lightest lights. So my darkest dark, I use a limited palette. I use 2 blues, 2 reds, 2 yellows, white of course, and I like Indian yellow and transparent red oxide. Those are my extra colors. So my darkest darks is ultramarine blue and transparent red. So, all right, let's block in. Like I said, I'm using a pretty big brush. See, I'm already up on the brush. We're going to try to stay back on the brush. You would have yelled at me, wouldn't you, if I could hear you? You know, again, that's why they make these brushes like this. We can stay back on them. And when you are back on the brush, you know, you're typically then you're painting with your whole, your shoulder, you know, not just but you have to remind yourself to do stuff. You know, we just instinctively do things without thinking about it. I'll tell you when we, unless he's a total flop here, we'll get the other one out and we'll compare when we're done and see. And you may not like it at all. It may not be your taste. I like things to be impressionistic and painterly. For me, when I go to the art museum, and I like paintings that read, I want them to, you know, read correctly from a distance, and then when you get up on them, they're very painterly. You can see the brush strokes, and I find that exciting. Okay, that looks to be most of the darks I see. All right. The bottom of the shoe, of course, is black, but it is catching light. So I'm going to put a little, I put a little blue in it and a little white, little cobalt and white. We'll see. See, I'm getting up there on that brush. I'm going to try to keep a hold of it like that a lot. I was just going to keep reminding myself. You know, I think when I'm painting a bigger subject, like, you know, I'm outside doing a landscape, I think I'm better about this, but when I'm doing, you know, a subject like this that's so detailed, I think I tend to get in on that brush. Not on purpose. Okay, let's move on. Let's go to his hat. And there's a darker and a lighter part to the hat. This area, we're gonna stay back, stay back. This area back in here is more shadowed. And this is catching more light up here, so it's warmer. May not have gotten enough paint out. We'll see how it goes here. I think I mentioned that I pre-mixed a lot of my colors tonight. It really speeds up the process. Okay. This feather is green. I did not pre-mix that, kind of overlooked it. Can't really see much of it anyway. It starts down here on his hat and runs off. I think what we'll do is we'll clean the brush up a little bit and we'll go off after some of those flesh tones. Got a lot of that. And we'll start on the darkest side of his face where he's in the shadow here. Keep myself back. And I don't even mind, I mean, I don't have any plans, but I don't even mind, you know, if some of that orange comes through on him. Now I'm going to the lighter mixture for the flesh tone. You know, it's going to be harder to control too, staying back on the brush like this, which that's the idea, right? Looking at this shape on his face. You know, and I'm not saying I'm not going to ever get out a smaller brush. I mean, to explain the eyes, I feel like I probably will have to. You know, because the background is orange, that's kind of throwing me off on the color of his face too. So I shouldn't really, I should just move forward and not really judge it yet. It's amazing what the colors around a color do to your perspective on color. All right, let's keep moving. I think what I'll do is I'll just work my way down the body. We'll move to the collar, which of course is white. And I did not pre-mix something for that either, so, but I'm not going to use pure white. And we may have to adjust these. See, that looks awful blue to me. I'm gonna wipe it off. Again, if I pre-mix that, I'd have got it right, huh? It's definitely warmer than that. Because it's catching so much light. All right, stay back on the brush. few new subscribers lately. I want to welcome you. Appreciate it so much. And if you're not a subscriber, please consider liking and subscribing. He's got a shadow on that collar up under his head, back up in here. So we'll just kind of put that in for now and see how that goes. No matter how it turns out, it's always fun. I took a still life in a couple weeks ago, and one of the girls said, I said, how's it going over there? And she said something like, I showed up and participated. I mean, that's all you can do, right? It doesn't always go as planned, but I feel like a good artist just tries everything. That's my opinion. You know, you paint still lifes, you paint outside if you're physically able. If you get a chance to paint a model, you paint a model. You just try it all, because that's how you figure out what you prefer and what you're good at. And I always joke that if it comes out right, I meant to do that. If it doesn't, it was practice. So I figure it's all good for you. Trying to stay back, keep reminding myself to stay back. You know, and I don't expect it to be as accurate, and of course it won't be, because it's amazing how green this yellow looks against that orange, and it is not. It's just relationships, you know. I can see very little of this arm. Flesh tone wise, I see the hand. You should be excited, you know, about whatever you decide to paint. And even though I did just paint this, I am excited about the idea of it, and it's because, you know, I've got a different plan for it, and I moved him around. So believe it or not, I am excited about it. I mentioned that last time, but he's got unusual little hands. I'm not sure. I guess maybe they're gloves, but they kind of feel like little shells. Okay, I'm looking to see where it lands. That's the other hand. Some people are amazingly loose. Sometimes too much. I'm not saying there's... we're going to come back and adjust him, of course. He's got like a blue tie. He's not the Disney version of Pinocchio. I brought him up to see the difference, but it's someone's version of it, and I think it's cute. All right. Top part of his shorts is very dark. Behind the hand. And this may not work at all. Maybe a total flop. We'll see. If you're watching it, I guess I felt okay enough to show it to you, so. Years ago, they used to have, I guess it's still around, Ustream? I don't even know. I used to go live some on Ustream, and it was mostly just me and a few people that I knew really well, and we would have a good time chatting on there. And I obviously could go live on this, but I don't know. It's just me and my painting, even though I'm yapping, but you know, I'm not watching a chat, and I'm just more comfortable this way. It's very lit right there, so we have to work on bringing that intensity up. Very lit on the corner right there. Yeah, a guy sent me a bunch of photos of his very cute dog that I cropped them and sent them back, and he's going to let me know. I was hoping we could get it resolved today so I could start in on it tomorrow. I'm pretty quick on the pet portraits. Even with the oils, it's usually maybe 3 weeks. Kind of washing off my brush a little bit. I've stayed with the same big brush the whole time. This is a brush by Rosemary & Company. Let's see if you can see that. Out of the UK. This is the Evergreen series, which they're a pretty soft brush. Got to get back on the brush. I'm creeping up. You know, I do not expect this to be real precise. And again, we're trying not to make it real precise. We're trying to be painterly, so. I don't have the control. Okay, let's see. And the nose is obviously darker around the side. And let's see where it hits on the face. I want to get that right. I'm going to try to support my hand a little bit. Looks like it's about down in there. And the tip of it's much brighter. And then there's some little highlights on this guy that we'll put in later on. Okay, wait a minute. I didn't get good coverage. You know, and I kind of like the eyes like they are really. I mean, they're black and white at the top and blue, but I don't know if we need all that because we're trying to go painterly this time. Well, let's paint in the background. Got a nice shadow behind him, and we'll mix up just a kind of purple color for that. Oh, I got enough paint here. I'm going to thin it down just a little bit. Just ultramarine and alizarin crimson. We'll put in these shadows too where we see them, even though this is light down here. It's a shadow on the fabric. Make that a little darker in there. Okay. And the shape of the shadow kind of obviously mimics his shape. I can see that that leg needs to come up a little bit, so. While we're going by, we'll kind of explain that little joint in his leg a little bit. Something like that. Let me get back. That's the reason I'm standing, right? Yeah, I'm kind of liking him. I think he's painterly. Just hit some place about up in there. Okay, let's go ahead and finish this background while we're here. Stay with that same dark mixture and we'll throw a little white in it. And I want to stop and think about the orange that's on the background. I don't want to cover all that up. It's a little too purple, so I'm going to throw in, even though I have the two primaries, let's add a little yellow to it. So we've got all three primaries in there that might make it a little more gray. Okay. So it looks pretty blue, doesn't it? which that's, you know, not a bad thing, but let's think about that. So to kill blue, you use a complement which is orange. And of course the whole background's orange, so that ought to help kill it anyway. Okay, we don't want to cover it all up. I'll put the link to my website in the description box below. So go there and check me out if you'd like. And I'm on Facebook and Instagram. I haven't quite figured out Instagram. People, I know they've left Facebook for Instagram, but I'll tell you what I don't like about it is you don't seem to be able to add links. Okay, let me think here. Where's that cutoff at? At the bottom of his foot, about down in there. Yeah, you can't add links. I mean, you can have, I think, a link to your website. But that's what I like about Facebook. I can send people wherever I want them to go, you know, to my YouTube channel or my website or... We're going to have to, you know, tweak some things when we get this done. Okay, don't cover up all your orange. That actually stopped about there, I guess. I don't know that it matters. I don't know if you're friends with anybody that's been doing that Strata easel challenge for the month of January. It's been kind of fun to watch. People had to do a painting a day, and then it entered them in a drawing to win a Strata easel. I think I'm saying that correct. One of these times I'll do that, I guess. I mean, I absolutely could do a painting a day, I'm sure. But some people put out some really good work. One gal I know here in my area did candy. She did little hard candies for the whole month of January. Very nice. And the fabric draping down would be course, darker. There's a shadow right there that we don't have, I can see. Let's see if we can get that in. Right here by his leg. It's a little more challenging to, you know, hold really steady when you're out here on the end of it. That's why some people use maul sticks. And I don't use one much. I really don't. I bought a cane one time for that purpose. Richard Smith uses a cane if it's good enough for him, right? If you don't know who Richard Smith is, you need to go look him up. I consider him one of the greatest living artists of our day. And I think most people would agree with that. Looking to see where this fabric is catching more light. And I don't know that that makes sense the way I've got him sitting on that bucket. You know, it might be better just to have him look like he's sitting. Let's kind of try that. I'm up on that brush, aren't I? You know, I was wondering how it would feel if we just looked like he was sitting on a ledge. That'd be better, you know. I could have got a bucket, but that would have meant going to the garage, so I made do with my gesso bucket. You know how that is, whatever's easier. Because I don't really know that it matters what he's on, you know. Oop, let's rinse our brush here. Haven't done much of that. Get back on the brush here. I'm going to thin that shadow out a little bit. I think it feels a little hard. I think that shadow's a little heavy-handed. Okay, let's look on him now again. I'm going to try to explain a few things a little bit better. The front of this leg. And the side of this leg is catching nice light. You can see me shaking when it's because I'm so far back on it. And I could balance. I don't know. I might lose what I'm trying to do if I do that. So, you know, again, I'm trying to stay back on the brush. So. Okay, and I feel like his face should be out a little more there. Of course, above there. You know, I think I'm going to leave those eyes like that because I just think they feel right. I do like these joints, so I'm trying, without getting too picky, to explain these joints a little bit. Okay. Now let's put a few highlights on. And we're going to, should we stay with our great big brush? Let's try it. Again, I feel like I need to balance myself just a little bit. Like I said, we'll get the other guy out at the end and let me know what you like better. I mean, you don't have to choose. We can like them both, can't we? So I'm fighting that flesh color underneath a little bit. Whoa, look at the shape of that nose. Put some cad red on the end there. See how that looks. Darken that. Now, he's got a shadow under his nose, which I like. See if we can kind of get that. I lost my highlight on my nose. Let's put that back. Nope. This is a big brush to have stayed with through the whole painting. He's got a detail on his hat. I'll get back on the brush. Okay. Oops. See, I touched him. I'm going to kind of change that so it doesn't feel like it's round necessarily. I don't think it really matters what he's setting on. kind of a shadow there. It's coming from that hand. I want the front of this leg to stand out a little more. Oop, you see where I am? I'm up on the brush. I didn't hear you yelling at me. If I was live, I would, huh? I know who would tell me that. Deborah. It's a friend of mine. She said she misses the chat. Okay. I think he's almost there. You know, got some richer color there. Only thing I want to try to do here, let's see. I'd still like to explain the little hinges in his legs a little bit. That's a little better, I think. And he's got one in his arm here. Again, I'm going to leave the eyes like that. I think I like them like that. All right. Let's get Pinocchio number 1 back out. Actually, I guess he's number 2. This is the 3rd time I painted the guy. All right, hang in there. And you know, and again, this may not be your taste. This was my goal. I'm going to back out and I'm going to show you around a little bit. All right. This was last time. That's the position I had him in. There's the actual puppet. Okay. This time we used a big brush. We stayed back on the brush and he's a lot more painterly. Probably even, you know, a bit more paint. I like him better. That's just my feeling. This guy's fine. I mean, he's a good representation, probably, of the puppet, the marionette. But I think this guy more interesting. Again, you may not agree with me. But that was my goal. I mean, look, goodness, look at the difference between the two. A lot of that probably comes from the eyes, the fact that I didn't develop the eyes. He's less, I don't know if cartoony is the right word that way, but I don't know, I like him dark like that. you know, and if this guy was painted with those kind of eyes, it might not work because he's a lot more realistic and hard-edged. All right, give me feedback. Again, you don't have to pick one. It's okay to like both. I think I did fine on that one. I had a different goal tonight, but I think I like him better. That's just my feeling. All right, hope this didn't bore you to do the same subject again, but again, we were, you know, trying something completely different goal in mind, and hopefully I accomplished that. I appreciate you joining me. Please like and subscribe, and I'll paint again for you soon. And have a good evening. Good night.